Good morning, Eric Boehlert.
Hey, good morning.
Where do we start? It is, can you imagine? So Steve Bannon went on record as saying the whole idea is to blow up the exchanges, right? So, I mean, we basically have someone admitting the president is trying to kill Americans to win political points, right?
Yeah, and Trump was tweeting about how he seemed to be gloating that the stock prices for the health insurance companies went down on Friday.
Right.
After and he's basically trying to use it as some sort of negotiating ploy. I mean, it's not exaggeration to say he's using Americans as hostages, right? He's trying to drag Democrats to the negotiating table. But the larger point is he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, he doesn't understand how health insurance works. He doesn't understand how these subsidies work. He's never understood how Obamacare. I mean, that's the problem. He thinks he's playing 3D chess, and he doesn't even understand how the healthcare system works. So this is what's dangerous when, he decides he's going to use his personal power and he's going to start signing these vindictive executive orders. But yeah, no, he and the Republican Party are now on record, clearly trying to wreck healthcare for millions of Americans. They couldn't 7 years. They couldn't pass anything.
Right.
And now he's angry and he thinks this is. Here's the amazing part. He thinks, as this all unfolds in 2018 and people go to the polls, he thinks they're going to blame Obama.
Yeah.
For, skyrocketing premiums and a collapse of some of these markets. I mean, obviously, he's shown himself to be delusional. He's clearly delusional about this.
Well, Eric, I think that's the point, is that fortunately we see him. I think polling shows that the vast majority of Americans want them to strengthen this and fix it. And I think this is so clear. He's so dumb. This is such clear sabotage, right? That I think you're absolutely right. This is going to be a disaster for Republicans.
Yeah, and look, they're panicking about the House now. I mean, the House, 6 months ago, Democrats have to win, more than 24 seats. People were concerned about, the Senate, but CNN has the report this morning about how more and more, Republicans are panicked about impeachment, and specifically panicked that Trump has no idea what will happen if Democrats control the House. They have no idea why he's tacitly supporting this, this civil war that Bannon is trying to get off the ground. They don't think they think he's completely clueless what would happen if Elijah Cummings becomes, a chairman on the Hill, because he doesn't understand anything. So there's panic setting in within the GOP. Not that they just can't pass anything. That's bad enough. I mean, Mitch McConnell is saying, Lindsey Graham saying Mitch McConnell's days are numbered if we can't pass a tax bill. If they go into 2018 not passing Obamacare, no tax bill, not only do they think they're going to lose the House, they think they're going to lose the White House too, because it's all, there will be impeachment.
Well, you pointed out something important in a tweet. You said, this is why Trump hasn't had a press conference since February. He doesn't know how anything works. Incredibly, there are still lots of D.C. journalists who refuse to concede this simple fact. I mean, if you watch this latest Hannity thing, as I said earlier, Eric, this is state television. This is Sean Hannity blatantly lying, repeating Trump's lies as if they are fact. I mean, ironically, they're creating fake news, right?
Yeah, they are. But I kind of expect Sean Hannity to do, state TV. What drives me crazy is when, I see the New York Times or CBS News or the Washington Post, going back to what we were just saying before about Trump not understanding health insurance. And so they write these pieces on the executive orders and they try to pretend, or they try to project what he's thinking. They try to couch it in this kind of sophisticated political analysis or calculation strategy by the White House. This is what they're really trying to do. They don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they won't say it. Look, most of the D.C. press is so intimidated they won't say on a daily basis that Trump is a pathological liar and that he's dumb as a stump and he literally doesn't understand how anything works. So if you're going to write about health insurance,
by the way, officially you can replace effing moron with dumb as a stump.
That's right.
Courtesy of Eric Boehlert.
I love that.
So what they do is they write about, they continue 9 months into this, they continue to write about policy premise that he understands any of this, whether it's
Yeah.
taxes or immigration or healthcare.
Anything. Him
It
talking.
drives me crazy.
Him talking about
Nuclear
coal.
war.
Him
Foreign
talking about coal.
policy.
It's this beautiful coal, beautiful clean coal. It's clean. They have this
clean,
beautiful
so
process.
clean.
He has no idea what he's talking about.
Beautiful, clean coal. I just ate some for breakfast.
And there was a great tweet over the weekend, because in some forum, I can't remember what it was, Trump was actually asked, it might have been one of these basically photo ops with a foreign leader. He was actually, this happens and this is really interesting. This is what happens when the foreign press comes in. Because I remember when the Prime Minister or the leader of Spain came a couple of weeks ago there in the Rose Garden, and one of the reporters got up and asked a very detailed question about the pending vote for separation in Spain. And you could tell Trump just no idea. I mean, he knew there was a vote, but the question went beyond, who do you support in this vote? It went, very specifics. And his eyes glossed over.
Eric, in his defense, he was busy meeting with the president of the Virgin Islands.
Yes, that's right.
I love Puerto Rico.
And last weekend, he was in this. He was in some forum again. I'm sure it was very quick. That someone was at, and it was. I guarantee it was a foreign reporter asked him a very detailed question about the Iran deal, and not just beyond what are you going to do, but kind of Plan B and Plan C. His eyes just glossed, and his word salad answer was comical.
Comical and terrifying, which is where we are these days.
Comical and terrifying. But that, going back to your original point, that's right. That's why he hasn't had a press conference since February. I guarantee you he will not have a press conference the rest of this year. He has had 2 press conferences in the last 15 months. July of 2016. So he had one in July in 2016. He had one in February of 2017. So we're up to 15 months.
Yeah. And that's in the reporting that they're even terrified of him doing any kind of interview with anybody outside of Fox News, right?
Yeah, if you look at the numbers, he's really piling up the Fox News appearances. They understand how the game is played. Yeah. It's all, the propaganda press. They won't ask him anything.
Eric, you tweeted about this. This is Steve Bannon this weekend.
Oh, as Bob Corker has trashed the commander-in-chief of our armed forces while we have young men and women in harm's way, right? Well, he said he's leading them on a path to World War III, that he is not stable, that people have to keep him moderated, that it's an adult... It's an adult center, and they took the morning shift off. Why some U.S. senator in a position of that authority, for the first time in the history of our republic, has mocked and ridiculed a commander-in-chief. We have kids in the field.
Oh, shut up.
As you tweeted, Eric, 4 of those kids in the field were killed by ISIS last week. Trump refuses to mention or honor them, right?
Yeah, this has been amazing, right? At the same values voters summit nonsense, Trump was bragging about ISIS, right? They're on the run. They've never been hit like we've hit them.
Right.
We've done more in 9 months than Obama did in 8 years. And he continues to refuse to acknowledge, let alone honor, let alone offer public condolences for 4 special forces members who were killed in an ambush raid in Niger on October 4, and it was ISIS. And they thought they were just going on a routine patrol, and they got bombarded by 40 or 50 extremists. All kinds of questions surrounding the raid that the Department of Defense really hasn't discussed.
Thank you. Gee, let's not even go to the if Hillary were president.
Oh, my God.
How many hearings we'd be into and how many, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Salon pointed out, Trump over the years has tweeted 60 times about Benghazi, will not mention these troops. So, he's lecturing the NFL about how you're supposed to honor American troops. Steve Bannon is telling people you cannot criticize the President of the United States because we have, quote, kids in the field. And he was golfing when the bodies came back over the weekend.
And not to mention, and you mentioned in your piece at shareblue.com about, we talked about this last week, not to mention that he's sitting down giggling with Sean Hannity during the retreat ceremony at a military base last week where you're supposed to stand. Because, and he joked and said maybe it's the music was playing in honor of Hannity's ratings. And there he is giggling with a Fox News host sitting down during I remember there was a story, Eric, maybe you wrote about it, that Robin Williams was in the middle of his set in Kuwait when the retreat ceremony, and he stopped his set and stood, right, to salute the flag.
Yeah, that's right. So Trump did one of his mini pep rallies at Air National Guard base in Pennsylvania, and he was talking with Hannity live, and at the end of the day, retreat started. The bugler started playing the retreat, and that Trump should have stopped talking. He should have stood up, and he didn't. And as you say, he just kind of giggled through this interview and said, "Oh, that song is maybe for your ratings, or maybe it's for me." But it's just, and we quoted some vets last week who say, this isn't surprising, right? He has no idea how the military functions. He has no respect. He has no honor for it. He just uses it as a throwaway line against the NFL and try to bash Democrats. But this is a guy who sat out of Vietnam with a sore foot and now plays golf every 4 days. So I think we can kind of deduce where he's coming from in terms of his respect for the U.S. military. And again, he will not mention these 4 Americans killed in action because it goes against his narrative that he's defeating ISIS.
Yeah.
It's gross.
He's barely mentioned California, and we're half on fire out here. It's so apparent, right? Which are blue states and which are, I couldn't even have conceived of someone that would try to divide us in more ways than this disgrace. But anyway, Eric, great stuff. Shareblue.com. You can read Eric's great stuff. Follow him on Twitter. We'll talk to you next week, sir.
Okay, have a great one.
All right, thanks, Eric. There he goes. You can see him on the TV machine, too, and he's very handsome.
Oh, yes.
Okay.